I started this video about a month ago, and due to unforeseen circumstances, I had to delay it. I was on one knee, going to the other, slipped off the back, managed to twist my ankle so hard, my tendon ripped off a piece of my talus bone. I didn't know that you could do that. The doctor gave me the terrible news, no riding the Surron for at least a month. It's the middle of summer. All my friends are out riding all day, every day. I'm seeing all of the posts. What are you supposed to do? Spend a bunch of money and build your dream Surron.
Gay with a baby, I am what he made me. No, you cannot shame me, so it's for the birds. Buy for a price, you ain't know what it's worth. He not letting go like it's grandmama purse. Rolling with him.
Custom parts, hand-machined components. Not just one, but two completely different custom vinyl wraps. Even a totally bespoke seat, which everyone keeps asking me about. I'll talk about it in the video. No one's really figured it out yet, so you gotta promise to keep it a secret. In a previous video, I had installed these 250mm floating rotors from Rip & Moto, which were a massive upgrade, but I was running them with the old Avid Code R brakes from the downhill bike that we disassembled, and the calipers just weren't wide enough to accept the 2.3mm thick rotors without rubbing a little bit. So I went with some TRP DHR Evo brakes because they were designed for thick rotors like this. Also, they are the only brakes I've never heard anything bad about from a Surron owner, and I wasn't even sure they'd show up because I got them from a very sketchy German website, but sure enough, they showed up like a week later. And they were really easy to install. I just used this little tool from Amazon to cut the lines and install the little barb thing. And then I tightened everything together. Everything was pre-bled. Brakes are the most important part of your bike, so I think it's worth investing. But something that's even more important to invest in, obviously, is the looks of your bike. And I'd had this idea for a long time to make my own custom vinyl wraps for my Surron and possibly sell them one day, just because there was nothing on the market that was quite my style. So I made this custom design and I had it printed at a local sign shop, and it installed really well. I added these custom touches like the motor cover color and some fun little Easter eggs like that, and I ran this wrap on my bike for a long time. It's in a bunch of my YouTube shorts, and people often ask me where they can get it, but I wasn't comfortable selling it because, one, it was really expensive to make, and two, it actually started to wear through on the swing arm, and that's just not enough protection, and I wouldn't want other people paying a bunch of money to put that on their bike. So I started looking for a replacement that would be more durable, more glossy, and possibly even sparkly. Speaking of bright things, I had been running the stock KKE shock and spring on the Surron since I got it, but one day I was on Facebook Marketplace and I saw someone selling an original Fox DHX for $125. It was the right length, but the spring was way too soft. And I figured out that I could run a KKE spring on the Fox damper. I didn't want to spend another like $75 just to powder coat it because I'm cheap. So I got some high flex primer and Tamiya RC car paint, which is actually designed to flex without cracking, and I used that to spray paint the spring, and it turned out great. The neon orange actually matched the Fox 40 decals perfectly. I mounted the DHX on the Surron and it looked sick, and even better, it performs perfectly. And I finally have a budget Fox shock to match my budget Fox 40s. Now, speaking of Fox 40s, I was trying to be a trendy Surron kid for way too long, and I was running these Renthal fat bars, which are amazing bars by the way, but I'm 6'3" and they're just too short for me. So I picked up some 35mm Deity high side bars, plus this new direct mount stem, which is actually a really special piece. I got this from a guy on Pink Bike under the name Hit and Run. He does all the machining himself, and he only sells through the forums. I wanted the shortest reach direct mount stem that I could find, and this was it. Plus, I thought this little skull looked pretty cool. Before we go any further, let's talk about the most important question I get about my Surron. What is that seat? Where did you get it? How much does it cost? This is actually a custom seat that I based on a KTM Freeride seat. Now, Gritshift has actually used the Freeride seat on their personal bikes, and I saw that seat on one of their bikes, not knowing what it was, and I said, I'm gonna build that. I had zero information. I didn't even know that it was a KTM seat until I saw this old Surronster video. He mentioned what it was, and that was all I needed. So I went to order a Freeride seat, and sure enough, it was out of stock. But I really wanted this seat, so I had to get creative. I had seen this video in my research of this guy replacing his stock Freeride seat with the low version, and it hit me, wait a second, maybe this guy still has his stock seat. So I sent him an email, and he said he'd be down to sell it to me. Shout out to Cornped on YouTube. So once I had the seat, I had to do a bunch of mock-ups and measurements so it could sit farther forward forward on the Surron. I also needed a way to secure the back of the seat, so I picked up this Duke 390 latch off of eBay for like $20. I made a little aluminum bracket to hold it in the right place, and I had this genius idea to make it out of titanium, so I ordered it from Sencut Sen for like 60 bucks. I also didn't have a torch on hand, so I gave it some color on our stovetop. Please don't tell the fire department or my landlord that I did this. Thanks. Unfortunately, bending 1/8" titanium is nearly impossible, and luckily, my dad had the perfect tool lying around in his workshop. I mounted the seat to my battery lid with just some bolts and screws from the hardware store. The last step was to wrap everything in this Thrill Seekers seat cover. That was about $70, and now I have what I think is the best Surron seat that you can buy. Speaking of looking cool, I was tired of the super weak wrap, so I found this company in California that makes graphics for a bunch of race bikes. They have a ton of experience in motocross and supercross. I based this on early 2000s drift cars I used to see in Option magazine. I love that style of build. So when everything arrived, I was super happy with it. This is physically, I think, 3 times thicker than the old wrap, so it'll give that protection that we need. Here's the best part, it's sparkly, which is something that I didn't think was possible. I think this is a really cool detail that you only notice under certain light. It's really subtle. I threw it on the bike, and man, was it bright. I know not everyone is gonna love it, but I think Ronald is such a unique looking Surron now. I'm super happy with how it turned out. I finally have something that I'm proud of and that I'm excited to see on other people's bikes, so keep an eye out in upcoming videos if you're looking for a new wrap. I'll be announcing the first drop soon for both Surrons and Talarias. Thank you. 3 months later, fellas. Look at this. No boot. Oh God, imagine if I just broke my ankle again. Just trying to show you that I don't have a boot on. No more broken ankle. See that? Also, obviously the bike looks way different than it did 2 seconds ago. New wrap, but most importantly, wait, it's over here. The esteemed Ocean motor. That's the next video. This thing is nuts. I'm doing a full install and a review in the next video. I appreciate you sticking with me. I'm so excited to be riding again. I can't even express it. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.